Welcome to the Numerology and the Astrology for April 1st, 2020. Know that there are videos out there that are for the intuitive patterns for the month of April, and there's also a video that's out there that's for the astrology overview for the month of April. So you've got a whole bunch of things that you can look at. So let's start with the numerology for today. If you had 412020, you actually end up with a 9. Now, if you were paying attention yesterday, 33120, we were at an 11-2, this expansion contraction. So whenever we change months, the numerology doesn't sequence. So it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It basically will sometimes back up, which is the case at the moment. So I always find that interesting because we're being asked to back up and review and reflect some things that had started to shift. So here, yesterday, we were trying to expand, but noticing the contraction and feeling like something was sitting on us. Now the numbers shift us back to the 9, which is about mysticism and magic and intuition and psychic ability and the right brain and art and creativity and subtlety and nuance. So we're being asked to listen. Listen to the intuition, listen to that soft voice, listen to, what the Buddhists call the twilight language. So that language that is under the surface of things, that voice that is a feeling, that is moving us and inspiring us. So, it's so important. And I remember years ago when it was in the 1990s, and I remember that the guides and angels said that when we got to 2012-13, that it was going to become more and more essential that people have access to their intuition or a way to work with their intuition in some way, because the energies were going to become so accelerated and so intense and so confusing and so chaotic and loud that you were going to have this really strong inner sequence inside of your core that was guiding you no matter what you're hearing on the news or the television. So your intuition today is demanding to be heard. And while this energy wants to empower you to see past the obvious and into the sublime, it also asks you to take responsibility for what you are feeling and not project that out into the world. Trust me, the world doesn't need one more projection at this point. Self-reliance and self-responsibility is essential to keep your aura clear so that the information is not tainted or slanted in a particular direction. So I remember when I was connecting with my guides when I was a teenager, after shutting down when I was a kid and then opening back up again as a teenager. And I remember them saying that your life has to be a meditation. You have to be able to move through your life in such a way that you're always centered and always very aware of what's going on around you. And so while they appreciate my efforts at that time to sit and meditate for 12 hours a day and things, it really was about making meditation my life so that I'm fully present, so that I can come out of meditation and that I am no different. I haven't shifted my energy in any way, shape, and form. But then as I was a guide for other people, they said it was very critical that I become very, very aware of what my particular slants are, my prejudices, my biases, because that is unfair to project those slants and biases onto other people. What I have found in life is most of the time people know not what they do. So people make these choices and decisions. Very good people make choices and decisions, and they actually are unconscious, and they have no idea that they're unconscious, and they're doing it. So there's no point in getting angry at them or trying to lord over them and tell them that they are wrong, because they're really thinking they're doing the very best thing that they can, but they don't understand that they're doing it from one side of their brain and not both sides of their brain working in harmony and working together. I think it's becoming more and more essential, just like the guide said, that we have to have both. That you can't just listen with your rational mind. You cannot just gauge something based on if it sounds good or if it looks good, because that is never true. That is never true. So what appears on the surface is never really what's going on underneath. But you can't read someone else's depth if you don't know your own. If you don't know your own quirks, then you can't detect somebody else's offness when they're doing it. And that's what's happened, especially in the last 4 years, that very, very good people, that they couldn't see their own shadow, their own distortion, their own offness. And so then they projected that onto other people. So today, this is that moment that you get to kind of review it again. Like, am I being authentic now? Am I still holding up a defense shield? Do I need to be right? Do I need to be, everybody to tell me, oh, I was wrong? It's like, well, that's just bullshit. I mean, that's just ego involved. I mean, people are on their path, and people have to learn karma a certain way. And you don't get to decide how their karma is going to go. But if you're intuitive, you can recognize that in somebody and allow them to have that process and still love them. You may not want to engage them because they're going on a path that is sort of like, I already walked that like 20 years ago. I don't need to go that direction at the moment, which is fine. But listen to your own intuition and your own knowing. What is true for you? What do you need to do for you? Not about what you have. Just because I need to do it doesn't mean everyone needs to follow my path. That's ridiculous. Okay. So the astrology today, there are difficulties that arise with family, work, and health issues. Disagreements are highly likely. We've all been kind of cloistered for weeks now. Just because I've been a monk, a nun, and a priest in so many lifetimes, I kind of like cloistering. I kind of like quiet and solitude and peacefulness and reflection. And so to me, it doesn't make me nervous at all. I get very happy, actually. I get very relaxed. And so know that some people, they have not processed their inner self. And because they haven't processed it, when things slow down, the feelings they've been suppressing will surface. That can create tension in a family. It can bring unresolved body issues to the surface. So many years ago, my joke was I was a ballet dancer and we'd have a break. The moment we'd have a break, I'd get sick, like every single time, because my body was like, oh, great, she's finally stopping. I can finally let go of all these toxins, which is what I think being sick is about. And I think one of the reasons the coronavirus is happening is that we have been holding so much dysfunction, dis-ease in our body, and we need a chance to stop, get sick, express it all, release it all, and then heal ourselves and move forward. Now, the moon is in Cancer. It's trining Mercury, but try to be independent in your actions and thoughts. Stay open. I know it's going to be difficult to do because, everybody's feeling everything so deeply. Mercury is in a semi-square to Saturn in the morning, and later in the day it will be in a semi-square to Mars. And the meaning is that this is going to be an intense, argumentative, and reactive day, which is why I want you to stay still and be centered and independent in your choices and not expect it to be about somebody else. Stay responsible for yourself first. Never add to anyone's pain. Think before you speak. Do not make big decisions today. There is a strong sign in the astrology that many are going to be very defensive. Don't add fuel to their defensiveness. Don't engage. I always say that, if somebody is reacting and then you start reacting, then we get this tit for tat kind of thing, and it keeps going up. And so it's kind of better to kind of like soothe the person's energy down and say, wow, you're really upset. Are you okay? I really get that you're stressing out. I totally receive and experience your upset. And I'm not trying to cause it, right? It's like I might be the trigger for it, but I'm definitely not trying to be the trigger for it. Okay, so instead of being protected, instead I want you to be protective and warm. So be the person that can make others comfortable and feel safe. Improvements happen when you are willing to make sacrifices for the greater good. So today, I just did a simple little quote. Every problem surfaces for a reason. Within this problem is a special opportunity for growth. It is when we are challenged and given a situation that seems impossible to solve that humanity discovers those souls who were destined to be here and give their gifts when called. So I really believe that, we have a crisis and people rise up, people show up, people stand up, people have an answer. They maybe have had and been working on that answer for a very long time. My husband last night had a dream that he was having an interview because he has literally done solar for 40 years. And it's always so amazing to me that, occasionally somebody on my blog or something will say, well, solar, it doesn't work, da 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 da. And I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously? I mean, my husband's been doing solar for 40 years. He does it all over the world. And yes, it works incredibly, but it's amazing how even in India, he had to explain to the engineers for the electrical company that it actually would work. They were like, this isn't going to work. And he's just laughing. He's just like, okay, I've been doing this for 40 years and I guarantee you it works. And that's why I get paid the job that I get paid. And so, kind of recognize that when a problem is happening, oftentimes there has been somebody with a solution for a very, very long time, and they have been trying to share that. And so I laughed that he said, I was in this interview sharing how, we can save the ecosystem with solar. We can do this, we can do that. And, all these, fantasy fairy tales, and they're just fairy tales that people say like, oh, if you do a big solar system, the birds flying over it, it will fry. And I'm like, no, it's just so insane. I just laugh. It's like human stupidity and the stories that they make up in order to justify not changing is shocking to me. It's just shocking to me. So let's embrace innovation. Let's embrace change. Let's recognize that there are people that have been out there for a very long time trying to save the planet, and people have not been listening to them. And you know what? Maybe we should listen to them. This might be that precious moment that we actually listen to them. So, as a result, it is April 1st. I want to recommend that nobody do April Fool's jokes this April 1st. People are way too angry. They're very too fearful. They're much too on an edge. You can startle somebody and they could have a heart attack. I'm serious. Like, it's so stressful. It's like, why not do something incredibly sweet? Like go pick daffodils and bring daffodils to somebody that you love and care for. Be nice. Be nice. Be kind. Be in. Stay in. Practice restraint. Expand love. That's the key. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a good April.